Alright, this is the 6th war of Season 7 for Loki. We are facing NY718. Very strong alliance, always in contention for the top 3 each season. This first node, Node 10, is a 6-star skill champion, and it ends up being a Karnak. As you can see, this fella has full suicides on, which will come into play later in this war for me. You can also tell that I've sped up the footage, and that's because I actually take 8 fights in this war, so it was a very long war as far as the footage. It would have been about 18 minutes if I didn't speed up the fights, so I sped up the majority of the fights just to try and shorten the amount of time this video goes on. But yeah, 6-star Karnak, really not a tough fight. This next node, Node 16 Power Reserve, was a Mystic Champ with 3 charges, so, you know, I knew it was Mephisto going in. Really not that bad of a fight. Really any fight for OGV on this node. Really just gonna try and keep the power drained. When he's got his aura of incinerations going, gonna try and keep my distance a little, you know, not too much so that I put myself back in the corner, but try to limit the amount of damage I take from the auras. You know, with his power gain from the auras and everything, not using OGV here, maybe some other champs, this might be a more difficult fight. But for OGV, really most fights are pretty easy here. See, I placed the heal block there as his regeneration would have occurred, so he got no regen when he hit that threshold, so, you know, that's a big help as well, having OGV against him on this node. But yeah, pretty easy fight in the end. I just had small boosts going for these first few fights as well, so, you know, if these weren't sped up, these are kind of long fights for these early fights, especially, you know, with OGV. Small boosts, fights really can drag on. But this next node, Node 23, Masochism node, is a rank 4 skill champion and ends up being a Kingpin. Gonna try to limit how much I parry in this fight. This is just kind of a weird one for OGV because, you know, you can't really stick the heal blocks very much and the parries, as Kingpin's gonna shrug it off the majority of the time. So it's gonna be a tough fight to hold any heal blocks on him and stop any of the masochism triggers from actually healing him. So mostly just gonna bait the heavies and, you know, try to keep the power drained. I actually do get a fair amount of parries to stick in this fight, but yeah, in the end, really nothing too bad. You know, gonna take a decent bit of chip damage baiting heavies throughout the entire fight, but in the end, really nothing bad. And it's not like Kingpin specials or anything tough to deal with if you had to. You know, his SB1s are very easy to avoid, and he's also very free at throwing his SB1s a lot of times. It's one of those champs where that's a special they seem very free with just throwing regularly. So nothing too bad there. Rank 4 Kingpin down on the Node 23 Masochism. If you notice here, there's actually only an hour 20 left in this war. This is very late in the war. I'm going to be on main boss duty as well, so I really wanted to go in one run from here to the end, because, you know, I'm going to be running max boost for this fight. You have to with magic, and going to have to do a few mastery swaps along the way as well, so very late in this war. I had actually just finished having some dinner and stuff, and then came back, and very shortly after it was time to go, so yeah, at this point, you know, the war was pretty much decided. We really had a bit of a rough war this go. This was one of, if not the worst wars we've had since season started. But it happens, you know. There was some troublesome placements we encountered where we didn't know how to best deal with them, and it was kind of a learning experience for us, and just kind of a rough war for some of us. But you know, it happens. We can't always be at our best performances, and you know, you gotta take the good with the bad and, you know, just ride it out, keep it going. But yeah, this Killmonger, you know, same fight as usual, just early on, try to trigger the masochisms to feed the Mystic Dispersion, get the L2s going as quick as I can, and at that point just try to get him back in the corner, work the SP2 cycles, and you know, do the evade with the light attack counter trick on his medium dashes. And right here, I slowed it back down because right there I actually messed up. I guess I was slow on the little light attack counter trick, and it just kind of flustered me because I'm looking at the time, I'm seeing his health, and I'm thinking the damage output just really hasn't been there this fight. Like, this could really come down to the last second. You know, I guess just the crits weren't there on the specials, and just in general throughout the fight, you know, with Killmonger's natural crit resistance and the node buffs crit resistance from building up power bars. So from that minute on, when I messed up, I was really paying attention to the clock and the damage output. But in the end, did manage to get it down with 17 seconds left there. But yeah, another fight, max boosted with magic that, you know, really comes down to the wire, even played very well. Now next up we have the Node 34 Vigor Burden of Might, and you see this is a rank 5 mutant, and it is the gentleman who had the suicides on, and it's a Domino. Now this node has 300% cornered, so the power gain is 300%. As you can see, the power gain is just insane on this node. So I knew coming in I had to deal with this, but I really have never actually fought this node with the person placing suicide, so definitely a very interesting fight, I'll say. The one good thing, you know, is she's going to be eating recoil damage, so can have her chipping away at her own health through baiting specials, as well as the suicides just slowly draining health away. You know, when I can actually get the heal blocks with OGV, that helps as well. But it's tough because if you trigger any dexterity buffs, you know, you lose your power in the fight. So it's a bit tricky to, you know, work around trying to bait the special, but also not trying to trigger a dexterity buff. Which the one good thing is, you know, she can actually crit fail your dexterity buff, which will keep you from losing the power to burden the might. But yeah, very tough with the amount of power gain. You see now I'm backed up in the corner, but by this point the fight was over. So yeah, without OGV there, I don't know, that could be a fight that maybe gets away from you with all that power gain, especially if she gets stingy throwing specials. Definitely a very good placement, an interesting placement. But next fight, this Node 36 is a rank 5 Void Champ. This is the Stun Immune Bleed with the Rolling Thunder and Breakthrough. If you've seen my war videos, you've seen I've taken this fight a number of times. Pretty easy for OGV, don't even really need to pay much attention to the debuff cycle with the 10 hit mechanic on Void, because you know, you're gonna constantly keep his power drain, not have to worry about specials at all throughout it, or his power in general. Just gonna bait the heavies, you know, interrupt the 3-part heavy after the first part of it, just to keep map control. You know, when baiting his heavy, if you let the full 3 hits go each time, it can actually slowly back you into the corner over the course of a lengthy fight. So I just constantly interrupt it after the first part, which helps you to keep map control and keep him backed up. In the end, not a tough fight, you know, as long as you play smart, don't have any mess ups, really not too bad. But yeah, that was the rank 5 Void on 36, and next up we have the Node 48 mini boss, which is a rank 5 Thor Ragnarok. This is the Limber with Kinetic Reactor and the Plagued Mind, which, you know, the Plague Mind works beautifully with OGV, where when it takes your power, you get your power, so don't have to worry about his 20 hit mechanic all that much with the power gain. You know, every 20th hit he gains a power gain buff, passive buff, which I believe basically gives him a full 3 bars of power. But don't need to worry about it as much with OGV. A lot of times in the fight, I'm going to kind of push him real close to the 20th hit, and then do a full combo and let him actually gain some power from it, because OGV's specials, their damage are purely based on the amount of power drain, where, you know, the SB1 only drains 1 bar, so as long as you're draining a bar each time, it does the same amount, but the SB2, depending how much power you drain, scales up, so just try to let his power gain on the 20th hit there feed into his power meter some, and then throw off the SB2s to fully drain him. In the end, not too bad a fight, mostly just baiting the heavies, throwing in some parries here and there. Really nothing too bad. You know, just another one of those fights that OGV easily works around the mechanics of the node buffs that contribute to the possible difficulties of the fight. But coming up right here, I believe? Yeah, right here, slow it down. I parry him and didn't even realize how much I parried in the fight, and he just snapped right out of it, and it caught me off guard. I didn't even react to it. He just came in and put a bit of a hurting on me. You know, this is my last fight with OGV, so in the end, nothing too bad. Lost a little health, but really didn't matter in the end. But yeah, that's the Node 48 Rank 5 Thor Ragnarok. And finally, last but not least, we have the main boss. It is a Rank 5 Dormammu. I threw on a combat regen just because, you know, we're finally seeing some of these boosts in the store again. Oh my god, it's crazy, right? Yeah, I just figured, you know, gonna take a little chip damage early on, so why not throw on a combat regen and, you know, let that work out some of that health loss. I did switch my masteries for this fight, threw on the max recoil with the half suicides, and just figured it would help me take the fight down quicker, easier, even though it's not really needed. Yeah, early on I had a bit of a mess up with triggering a dexterity right out the gate, and you know, fed into his mystic dispersion, but luckily threw an SP1 pretty quick, so from that point on, just, you know, baiting the heavies, got the SP2s on him to keep him power locked, and just play it safe with baiting the heavies and slowly working them back to the corner. And at this point, just gonna, you know, keep them in the corner with the SP2 power lock cycles. Just gonna try to hit the stand-up intercepts as best I can. Do the 4-hit backouts on them, you know. I played a little risky with just constantly jumping back in with the mediums, but I don't know, it works out for me in the end. You know, sometimes he didn't jump out and he could counterattack me on those, but I guess you could say I lucked out and he didn't at all. So in the end, not a tough fight, just get him to the corner, playing it safe with baiting the heavies, and then just lock it down. Yeah, 100 hits, minute and a half. That was the Rank 5 Dormammu boss, and that is my final fight of the war. Like I said earlier, NY did take this war, a bit of a rough one for us, but hats off to them. Great war, and thanks for watching.